Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Optimist Fantasy Football Channel. I am your host, Nate Polvogt, joined by the one and only co-host with the most, Lou Brunson. We're here to help you navigate those start-sit decisions as we head into Week 12. We've already had some news drop this morning. Aaron Rodgers, he attempted to get out there and start. It's not going to happen. So if you have Aaron Rodgers, you might want to go kick the tires on Mason Rudolph on that old waiver wire if he's available. And if you've got time for those last-minute pickups. A quick bone to pick here. If we've got any commissioners listening, watching at any point, please open waivers on Sundays. Please.
Yeah, like that should be a given. Especially when we have guys like, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Jacobs inactive this morning as well. That's been declared. Like it was a true game time decision sort of thing. And, we
Matthew
need
Golden's
the ability.
out.
Yeah, we need the ability to adjust, lineups, waivers. Not that I would expect, Emmanuel Wilson would have made it through, but guys like Chris Brooks, Pierre Strong, who they just called up yesterday, like we got to be able to adjust to these things. So yeah, like Nate said, please, you got to enable Sunday waivers.
Yeah, I've got 3 leagues where they're not enabled. One of them is, I'm not going to say the name of the league, but it's a pretty big deal league that a lot of people know about, and it's really frustrating.
Those
I'm
would be leagues
okay.
that I would not play in anymore. That's just me.
I have to. I like playing in the leagues. It's just a frustrating thing. Maybe we'll get the commissioner to change the rules. We got our first question here. Whole point of the show is to help you guys win. So please, if you're watching, get your questions in here. Good morning. Happy Football Sunday. Happy Football Sunday indeed.
Yeah.
In a non-PPR wide receiver 3 slot, Alec Pierce or Tucker?
Wow. So I was definitely in running back mode because I'm here thinking Damian Pierce was cut and Sean Tucker's. And so yeah, wide receiver.
Trey Tucker. Yep. Trey Tucker, Alec Pierce.
Yeah. No, this has got to be Pierce here. Trey Tucker, like terrible offense, and he's more of a PPR merchant. Alec Pierce, he is that deep threat, which is in standard leagues where you don't get that PPR bonus. You really, need those touchdowns to be able to bolster that value, and that's Pierce all day, every day.
Yep. I am firing up Pierce in a handful of my own lineups. Definitely in a number of places over Trey Tucker. Thanks, Dynasty Football. No, don't worry about it.
You're good.
Yeah, we do appreciate first names usually, but in the context of that, Trey Tucker made more sense than Sean Tucker, obviously.
You were fine. That was me and my brain. I apparently need more coffee.
Well, you better go get it, man. Yeah. How do we do this without it? We don't. All right. So as we're heading into the weekend, a couple of the bigger stories, the biggest game, in my opinion, Lou, is going to be that Colts Chiefs game. This is huge. Yeah. And it's more of a must win for Kansas City because if they go to 5-6, like their shot at making the playoffs, there are 3 teams ahead of them that win the tiebreaker.
Well, I definitely agree. It's definitely a big game for both, but for very different reasons. Like every game for Indianapolis right now is kind of a referendum on are they for real or not? Like, are they actually a Super Bowl contender coming out of the AFC? Like at least the last 5 years, it's been Baltimore, Kansas City, Buffalo. Those 3 are the end bosses. And this year, all 3 are incredibly vulnerable. So it's a lot more wide open than it's been. And Indianapolis is kind of dipping a toe and stepping into that void, right? But the last couple of games have not been great for them. Like Daniel Jones has shown cracks in his armor. Not turning the ball over his first, 8 games, I think it was? Maybe 9?
Yes.
And basically not getting sacked, averaging like 1 sack a game. And he's up 4 or 5 sacks a game, multiple turnovers in both games. Like he's not the locked in guy that we saw the first half of the season, which happens, right? Like we've seen teams get out to these incredibly fast starts before and then fade badly down the stretch. I'm looking at you, Miami. We've talked about the Chase Claypool Steelers how many times on this show. And like you said, Kansas City, you go to 5-6 and between Denver and I know the Chargers are dealing with their own issues right now. but those are two good teams, and there's enough other good teams throughout divisions. Like, you've lost the tiebreaker to Buffalo, you've lost the tiebreaker to Jacksonville. The AFC North is still what they are. Like, how many positions actually are there to try and get into the playoffs? And they're used to be on the 1 seed, not being that like 6-7.
Exactly. Oh, I hope the kids are listening. You just said 6-7, Lou.
Oh God.
I have an 8-year-old, so I hear 6-7 crap all day.
Constantly.
So if you look at the standings here, this is the problem for Kansas City. They've got Houston, Jacksonville, Buffalo, Los Angeles, Pittsburgh, Indy, New England, and Denver all ahead of them. They're in the 9 spot. They need to get into that 7 spot to get into the playoffs. Houston is in the 8 spot. Houston is a much better team. They're sitting at 6-5. If Kansas City loses today and goes to 5-6, they're down with Baltimore. They're kind of in the same class with Miami, and dare I even say it, for the playoffs, they're in that same tier as Cincinnati.
Oh,
4-7, 5-6, right in that range, right? If they lose today, that's where they are.
Man, that's kind of wild that we could conceivably have a playoffs in the AFC with no Joe Burrow and no Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, we very easily could. It's trending towards that being. That's gonna. I mean, I could see Cincinnati making a run with Burrow back next week.
Why?
On Thursday.
That's my thing. Why? Because it's not like Cincinnati's issues have been offensive in this season, especially once they went from Browning to Flacco. So why should we think that Cincinnati's suddenly going to go on this run? It could happen because Joe Burrow is that good and everything like that. And I just don't see it because their defense is that awful.
That's a fair point. Their defense is like epically bad. It's like if the Colorado Rockies were an NFL defense, they might be the Cincinnati Bengals. I say that only slightly jokingly. Like, this is a really, really, really bad defense. It has made some really mediocre players look very, very good.
Yeah, like, do you remember last year when it was Carolina was in that spot, right? Like, you start everybody against Carolina. Doesn't matter what position, what their recent trends were, anything. You just start them against Carolina. Is 2024 Carolina, like 2024 Carolina defense versus 2025 Cincinnati defense, which one is worse?
The Cincinnati defense might be worse.
And I'm kind of with you because you had players on Carolina like, I'm forgetting the name of their corner, but like him and Jadeveon Clowney were like, okay.
Oh, J.C. Horn.
J.C. Horn, yes. Like, these guys, okay, they can play. I don't look at anybody on Cincinnati outside of Trey Hendrickson, who is hurt, and I'm sure that he is, and he is a professional and everything like this, and I wouldn't be putting my body on the line for this team.
Nope. No way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's Cincinnati.
It is Cincinnati. Well, and it's Zach Taylor, if we're being honest.
Well, I think a lot of blame was heaped on Lou Anarumo's head, and unfairly. Like, we're seeing what he's doing in Indianapolis this year, and it's phenomenal. Like, their defense is so much better without big changes, aside from like guys like DeForest Buckner being healthy for most of the year, where he wasn't last year.
Right.
But it just really goes to show how he was making the best of a truly epically terrible situation in Cincinnati for a number of years.
Yeah. These ownership groups that don't want to spend the money, or they'll spend it on 1 or 2 players, or they'll overspend on 3 and screw the rest of the team because it's shiny parts. I mean, that's just essentially what Cincinnati is. We got Cinco de Manger over on Twitch. Okay, so full PPR. Are we going Ricky Pearsall or Rome Odunze today, Lou? I'm
still going Rome. I believe that, Johnson and Caleb, like, they want to get Rome involved. It's been a couple of like missed deep shots sort of things that have kept Rome out of the end zone the last couple of weeks, which suck, unfortunately. But that's the way it goes. And if he had hit on 1 or 2 of those, we'd be thinking about Rome much differently at this point. Ricky Pearsall, I mean, he's still clearly getting up to speed. he had one reception, I think, last week for 3 yards, something like that. Just not.
Yeah.
It didn't need to be involved at this point. Between CMC, Kittle, Jawan Jennings, there is enough there that they can bring him along slowly as needed.
Yep, I completely agree, and they should. I think Shanahan kind of learned his lesson after the debacle that was Brock Purdy early on in the season, bringing him back a game too early, which was just not a good idea. Yeah. Oh, no, we definitely hope so. All right, we've got a big old good morning from Joe Hammy Mistakenly over on Twitch, and then he's got a question for us, Lou. Half PPR, rest of season, who do we prefer here? Cade Otton, Chigo Conko, Brenton Strange, who should be coming back from IR, and Harold Fannin. I'm going Harold Fannin. Over these other three, I prefer Harold Fannin, but it's very close for me with Cade Otton as well.
Strange is back and back in playing today, so that's good to know. The problem there is, what is this Jacksonville offense? Like, very clearly, they were at their best when they could just run their ball, which we saw against the Chargers last week. Now, I don't expect them to be able to do that and do that well week in and week out. So I definitely go Fannin. I don't want to say cautiously optimistic about what Shedeur Sanders can do in Cleveland. However, if he's going to throw the ball down the field more, Fannin is very good down the field and should see more targets down the field, not just these 3 to 5 yard catch the ball, get tackled immediately type routes, because that's not the player that Fannin is, or at least not at his best. He is that guy that can get down the field, get open in space, have mismatches against DBs. He is that kind of player. So I definitely go Fannin. I want to believe in Chiggy. I really do, especially with the lack of other targets there. That Titans offense is just so bad, though.
Yes, it is really bad. I love Chigakonkwo. I'm starting him in a couple places today, mostly because of injury and other issues in my rosters, and I'm okay with it. It doesn't bother me one bit. We've got Nino Pena dropping in on YouTube. He's got a flex question. He needs to flex one. He's got Kenneth Walker versus Tennessee, Jameson Williams versus the New York Giants, Travis Etienne against Arizona. Lou, which way are you going with these three?
Ooh. Boy, I think I'm going JMO. The Giants, they love to play man-to-man defense for some reason. I don't really know why, because they're terrible at it, but they do. And I mean, the Lions, both ARSB and JMO, just eat man coverage alive. If you don't really want to play that boom bust type, coin flip game, I'm going K9 against Tennessee. Like, their run defense is epically terrible.
Yep, I'm with you on Kenneth Walker. It's close though, because Jameson Williams with no Sam Laporta feels nice.
Right.
But I don't fully trust it. I need to see it for 1 week just to prove it's real. I need to know it's a real boy without Sam Laporta.
And we did see it last week. It's just, I hear you. We need a little bit more to be able to trust it consistently, because consistency's been his issue, right? Like, we've seen these big weeks from him before, and then he goes and does nothing for 3 or 4 weeks. I'm willing to believe, especially with these others that don't scream, yes, I have to start them.
Yeah. I don't know, though. I'm going to stick with Kenneth Walker. I'm sticking with Kenneth Walker here. All right, Nino, we got another one from you here. He woke up to an offer of Nico Collins for his George Pickens straight up. Am I crazy wanting to decline that offer? No, I would too.
Yeah, no.
Too much is up in the air with this Texans offense. We're seeing Jaden Higgins start to take a bigger role, which for Nico Collins managers is a little concerning. I wouldn't do it. I like Pickens' role in Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, this was the dream with Dallas, right? With Pickens going to Dallas, right? Like, CeeDee Lamb is doing his thing, and now there is someone to catch the ball when defenses focus on CeeDee Lamb and try to take him away. This was it. This was the theory. You don't run from that.
No.
Not even for Nico Collins, which there is something's fishy with that Texans offense. Like Nate said, Davis Mills should not be outproducing CJ Stroud and distributing the ball better. And that's kind of what we're seeing so far. It's not quite Brissett, Kyler Murray out there in Arizona, but there's enough there that's like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. We need to have a second thought about this.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. Is it just simply Davis Mills is a better fit for this system. He does what they need him to do in this offense better than CJ Stroud does it. It doesn't make him a better overall quarterback than CJ Stroud. It just means he's a better fit. And that's sometimes how this works in the NFL. They don't scheme enough necessarily around CJ Stroud. But what Mills has that Stroud doesn't is a quick release time. Mills gets through his progression very quickly and gets rid of the ball, so that bad offensive line play affects him less than it does Stroud.
No, that's good. That's a really good point about Mills. Like, he's been bad his entire career, right? He knows he has to get the ball out, get it to his playmakers, that sort of thing. Stroud has been that playmaker all throughout college and even his freshman year in the NFL, where he would hold the ball a little bit longer to make that play down the field, push the ball. And we've seen, obviously, last year and into this year, their offensive line is not up to that task to support that kind of thing. So until and unless Stroud kind of adjusts his game, and who knows, maybe that could also be just play calling differences as well, where the team is saying, okay, we know we got to get the ball out with Mills, as opposed to, okay, we trust Stroud to make those decisions on the fly.
Right. Okay, we got a couple more coming in here on YouTube. We got Nick Tahoe's pick 2 out of this group here. Parker Washington, Romeo Doubs, Michael Wilson, Andre Yosevach. Remember, Jamar Chase is suspended today, so it's going to be the Higgins and Yosevach show. Mike Gesicki's still on IR. Which 2 are you going with, Lou?
Oh, I like this. I've got them all kind of in the same range here. I'm just kind of double checking because I don't want to give the wrong answer here. I'm going Yosevach and Wilson here. I do like Parker Washington a whole lot. I think last week was an aberration. Like, Jacksonville was just up way too high. He got game scripted out, which happens from time to time. We know Arizona's not going to be that team, and they're going to throw the ball. And kind of same with Cincinnati. Especially if I need to be able to rely on them, give me Wilson and Yosevach.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've got Washington and Yosevach right around the same. It's a toss-up between the two. I like Yosevach a little bit better given Jamar Chase is out. However, don't forget, Brian Thomas is also out. So for me, it's a little bit more of a toss-up between Washington and Yosevach. But Michael Wilson I have inside my top 20 this week for wide receivers.
Same.
He's a smash play for me. I don't think you can go wrong with Yosevach or Parker Washington, given the situation. We've got this one from South C7765 on YouTube. Tyler Warren or Ricky Pearsall. We're going to assume PPR, assume this is a flex slot, obviously. I'm going Tyler Warren. Lou, how about you?
Oh, yeah. I'm going Tyler Warren. Like, we know he's going to be involved in the offense. He's kind of fallen off a little bit as teams have adjusted, but even still, we know he's going to be that guy that's going to see volume. We simply don't with Pearsall as he continues to work his way back into this offense and this system, especially with as little as he's played over the last 2 years, to be perfectly honest. Yeah,
I completely agree. And Tyler Warren's just so much better than I thought he was going to be at the NFL level. That was my bad. All right, we got Joe Hammy mistakenly on Twitch. PPR, we've got Judkins, Sean Tucker, Emmanuel Wilson. Who are you benching out of that 3, Lou?
I'm benching Tucker. Nothing against Tucker. I really like him a lot as a running back. It just comes down to, we've heard this song and dance with the Bucs coaches before. We're going to give Tucker more work. We need to get him involved more. And then he sees 3 carries for the game while, Rachaad White gets 20. I just don't trust the coach. If we see it again this week, I will absolutely trust it more, even though Bucky's supposed to be back this week or next week. But yeah, Judkins and Wilson, especially with Jacobs out, that's the way I go for sure.
Yeah, I'm the same. I want to believe that Sean Tucker is going to get another 20 carries, 100+ yards, and a bunch of tutties, but I don't know that it's going to happen. I wouldn't. Yeah. You can't bank on it.
They're also not playing Buffalo.
Right. That's a fair point, too. Eesh. Sorry, Lou. Just a reminder, folks, Elic Aomanor is also out today. So if that affects your decision to maybe swing to Chigakonkwo, I understand it. I'm not going to do it. I did it once, but that's not why. It's because I didn't have a choice, if we're being honest here. Other situations you might not have a choice with if you were relying on Justin Fields as your QB2 in a Superflex or 2 QB league. I hope you got Tyrod Taylor off the waiver wire, Lou, because that's the way we're going today. How do you feel about some of these guys in New York? I mean, really, Garrett Wilson's gone for at least the next couple of weeks, not IR. You've got Mason Taylor. You've got Breece Hall. You've got Isaiah Davis. You've got Alan Lazard. I've just said a whole bunch of names I don't want to start in fantasy. Sans maybe Breece Hall.
Yeah, I mean, I don't trust any New York Jets offensive player. I love Tyrod Taylor's ability to push the ball down the field with touch, with anticipation, everything like that. Like, he does that really, really well. And he gets absolutely destroyed by the pass rush. And he's small and not as escapable as he once was. And those take a toll very, very quickly on him. I'm only interested in Breece Hall of these. Like, maybe Mason Taylor can get you into a PPR tight end scam sort of situation. If Taylor realizes, oh, right, I need to get this ball out of my hands, and here's my guy. Hall, he's going to get the carries. He should get the targets. Like, their best passing plays have been running back screens for the last several weeks now, which is its own thing. So yeah, but even then, Breece Hall, he's like a mid to low RB2.
Yeah, that's about where I've got him ranked too. It's a far cry from the guy who was supposed to be overall RB1 at some point. I mean, we all kind of thought it would happen. He was a bowling ball at Iowa State, man. Just hasn't materialized because, well, why? Because he plays for the Jets.
Because the Jets,
it's where careers go to die in the NFL.
How happy are you that Jahmyr Gibbs didn't go to the Jets? My goodness.
Oh,
like, we get to see him in Detroit in all of his glory. Imagine if he'd gone to New York instead. That would have been I'm just so glad for us as fantasy players that we don't have to deal with that.
There was some worry that when he went to Detroit, it was going to be like the DeAndre Swift Detroit era years. It hasn't been. Obviously, it's been much better than that.
It's been great.
It's so much better than that. Let's talk little Joe Burrow, because he's coming back next week. What is this now? Against probably a lot of people's advice, they're going to bring him back. If they lose this week, they will be 3-8, which is not good. That's no shot at the playoffs at that point. You can check them out. Why are they going to bring Burrow back? We kind of started talking about this a little bit earlier, but it doesn't. Is this a Zach Taylor trying to save his job thing? Like, okay, well, if I can get him back here and we can at least maybe get like close to 500.
I mean, if they win out, they'd be 9-8, and that has like been on that cusp of playoffs in the AFC the last couple of years. Like, maybe it takes 10-7 some years, but 9-8 is like kind of right there. So they've got an outside shot of it if they win out. And you've got to think, if Burrow starts, we have a chance at that. Now, with that being said, this is the Bengals we're talking about. So if you're asking me to apply logic and expect rational coaching and decision making from them, I cannot do that because they haven't earned that, to be perfectly honest. Whether it's Zach Taylor or whoever is playing GM for them at the moment. I think this is a bad decision. Joe Flacco is out here. He's getting people touches. He's getting the position players paid. He's keeping them competitive. The reason that they're losing is their defense. Unless Joe Burrow can go out there and play defensive tackle, linebacker, safety, it doesn't matter if he's out there.
Well, like even Shamar Stewart drafted this guy, thought he was going to be a big deal. He's on IR.
Yeah, like, he's been injured the whole year.
They're banged up, and the good players that they have, the good players they have are banged up. The bad players are still on the field. This defense, to your point, they can't stop anyone. They let Chicago beat them in the weirdest way.
Yes.
Like, in the weirdest fashion. To lose that game in that way shows you just how bad that defense is, because Cincinnati should have won that game. Period.
I mean, they should. I mean, there's a few games they should have won. I mean, look at the Jets game. that like they should have
Mhm.
won these games, and they just can't and haven't. And again, I
Nope.
don't put that on the offense when they're putting up 30, 40 points a game.
I know. It's not on the offense. That's on the defense. I want to grab this one real quick here out of the chat. Cinco de Manger. Quick advice. 2 of the 3. Emmanuel Wilson, Aaron Jones, Ken Walker, all are active. Jacobs, obviously, we've discussed, is inactive. So of these 3, who are you benching?
I'm benching Aaron Jones myself. I've got Wilson as a top 20 running back. Like just good, solid mid-range RB2 this week. I don't mind Aaron Jones. I do like his upside. Just the other 2, they have the roles and the matchups that I like better this week is all.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I completely agree. We've got more going on in the chat, Lou. Getting busy here as we're getting closer to the games. Tron
Love
Force 8199. Devonta Smith or Jalen Warren in a flex slot. This is PPR. Which way are you going?
I'm going Jalen Warren, mostly because we know he's going to return at least some value there. Might not find his way into the end zone because Mason Rudolph is starting at quarterback, so he should see a lot more in the passing game checkdowns as Mason Rudolph does
Sure.
Mason Rudolph type things.
Yep, I'm with you. I'm going Jalen Warren here. We've got the Royer family dropping in. We've got Mr. Doug Royer. Hi, guys. He's in Texas with Casey, who is, of course, watching us on YouTube. Good to see you guys. Casey, of course, is my Thursday Optimus Fantasy Show co-host. We're taking next week off for the holiday, but we will be back the week after Thanksgiving. With Cincinnati, let's get back to that real quick, because I don't want to talk about Joe Burrow. I want to talk about everybody else in this offense and how that's going to matter. Jamar Chase is back next week, obviously, from suspension. T. Higgins, maybe Noah Fant. He was seeing a little bit of volume from Burrow early on in the season. Obviously, it faded once Burrow got hurt. That went away. Do these guys, does it hurt or help? Or are you indifferent to the return of Joe Burrow because of the way that Flacco's distributed the ball?
I think I'm largely kind of indifferent, at least with regard to the top 2. I don't think Fant matters. That horrific loss that they had to Minnesota, Fant had a couple of just absolutely terrible plays there when they tried to rely on him, and it was been really since that point that we've seen him fall off. I think how much it was Burrow bringing Fant along. I think it was Fant got the opportunity and failed, and now the team doesn't trust him, which is valid. We've seen that at every step of his career along the way. So I don't really see I don't see a ton changing for them. The guy I see things changing for more than anything would be Chase Brown, because especially the last couple weeks, we've really seen Flacco pepper him with targets, that PPR scam running back type of thing, especially as they're trying to play catch up, keep a lead, all these sorts of things, right? Burrow, understandably, has that arm arrogance and has that escapability that Flacco doesn't have, where those can turn into scrambling rushes from Burrow. They could turn into targets a little farther down the field for Chase, Higgins, Yosabash. So I think if anybody's going to drop off, I think it would be Chase Brown, unfortunately, because I own him kind of everywhere.
Me too. Of course. Well, not everywhere, but enough places that I don't love it. In Burrow's 2 starts this season, we saw him get a total of 6 targets, 4 catches. None of them were high value. They were dump offs that went almost nowhere. So it does hurt Chase Brown. He goes back to my bench, I guess, unfortunately, if I can afford to. We got Joe Hammy mistakenly. He's got this half PPR question for us, Lou. He's got Swift, Trevion, Emmanuel Wilson, Jalen Warren. I'm assuming start one of them. Which one are you starting?
Boy, only one? Like, they're all right there for me. Like, I've got them all in the same tier. I do have Trevion highest just because he's playing Cincinnati. Like, he might only get 5 touches today with Ramondre back, and those 5 touches could be 80 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Could very well be. Yeah, I'm going to lean Henderson as well. I've got him highest in my rankings. So just natural progression, I suppose. That's what I'll do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. But I genuinely don't mind any of those options. It stinks that there's only one, and you had to make that decision Thursday night. I see you already started Woody Marks there. Um, yeah. Yeah, I go Travion, especially because he has the highest upside.
Yeah, I'm going Travion too. Swift is close for me as well. Wilson and Warren are not close at all for me. There's still starts in 2 running back. If you needed to flex one of them, I'm fine with that. But it's Trevion Henderson overall 3 for me. Though, Lou.
Yeah.
Is he one of the biggest boom bust guys this week with Stevenson
absolutely.
coming back where he could be RB3 and he could be RB43? Like, that's the real range of outcomes for Henderson this week.
Yeah, especially with Josh McDaniels at the helm, right? Like we could see Ramondre Stevenson come back and get 20 touches in the game, and then Henderson's back to his normal like 3 to 5, or at least normal prior to this. I think there's a certain element of, okay, the cat is out of the bag with Henderson. He has showed out and showed well, so you can't put him totally back in. So I think his floor is more in that 5 to 10 range. And because it's Cincinnati and they are so terrible on defense, that it legitimately could be that 2 touchdowns, 80 yards on that 5 to 10 touches. And that's enough to get him. I've got him at RB11 this week. I think it's kind of a nice enough hedge where, no, he's not going to be a top 5 running back likely, but I also don't think he's going to be completely worthless either.
All right. Fair enough. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. Like, you really can't put this cat back in the bag at this point. 4 straight games with 10 plus carries, 75 yards, 55 yards, 147 yards, 62 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's 6 targets, 1 target, 5 targets. He had a receiving touchdown last week against the Jets, and this is the Jets, but the Bengals are a worse defense. And even with Ramondre back, I feel like Ramondre is going to be limited. Plus, Ramondre is so much better between the 20s than he is inside the 20. You don't love him inside the 20.
Right.
You use him if you have to.
I think if anything, we might see Drake May struggle a bit. And I say struggle in quotes because I think New England runs away with this game and it doesn't matter. But I could also see the Patriots just running the ball 40 times in the game and saying, all right, come stop us. You can't.
Yep. Speaking of struggling, JJ McCarthy. I don't know what. So I'm not going to make a long-term judgment on McCarthy because we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen in the offseason when he's had a full season with this offense. Hopefully he can gel at some point with Justin Jefferson. But right now, as it stands, he's dead last in on-target percentage amongst qualifying quarterbacks. He's almost ruining Justin Jefferson. A -4 fantasy points over expected for Jefferson when McCarthy is starting. It's -3 for T. Higgins. This Packers game this week. Jordan Addison, yeah. Is that not what I said?
You said T. Higgins.
I meant Jordan Addison. Dear God. We've talked way too much Bengals today.
Yes, we have.
Jordan Addison, -3 fantasy points over expected. Those are not good numbers, right?
No.
This week, Aaron Jones up against the Green Bay Packers. A little bit of a revenge game narrative here, which is kind of silly because this isn't the first time that they've played each other. But
not even this year, right?
Not even this year. But this does feel like a game where Minnesota might run the ball a lot. Justin Jefferson, you're obviously starting him, but are your expectations tempered with him this week? And are you starting Jordan Addison?
I'm not starting Jordan Addison unless I absolutely have to. And I really hope you don't absolutely have to, because there's enough borderline options out there that you shouldn't need to. Like I'm kind of toying with the idea of starting like Chimere DK over Jordan Addison this week. Like that's the kind of borderline that I'm talking about. No, Jefferson is a good enough player, as we all know, that he can take one target and turn it into a startable fantasy week for you. So I can't like put him down at wide receiver like 40, 45 like I want to. But that's kind of where he belongs if he was any lesser of a player because of JJ McCarthy. Like I watch enough film of quarterbacks to understand what I'm seeing, and he's lost out there, just completely lost. He's rushing through his progressions. His mechanics are terrible. And he's missing wide open receivers. Like, these guys are open and he's missing them by 5 to 10 yards every single time. I don't see how he turns this around this season. Maybe he gets a Bryce Young benching like last year, where Bryce Young sat on the bench for 3-4 weeks, got to collect himself, catch his breath, and then come back and try again. But this really seems like a lost season for McCarthy, unfortunately. And we kind of knew that could be the case with how raw he was coming in. And it's dragging everyone else down with him, too. And that's unfortunate, because we've got some really, really good, not just fantasy players, but just really good, fun NFL players to watch that are suffering as a result.
Oh, TJ Hawkinson's suffering because of it, too. I think Jordan Mason's suffering because of it a little bit, though I don't think Jordan Mason is as good as everyone thinks he is, but that's just a me thing, I guess. Yeah, look, JJ McCarthy, I think there's hope at some point in the future, but this is his effective rookie year. He didn't play at all last season. He didn't get any junk reps, which are always good for those guys, and he needed that. I think he really needed that, to be behind Sam Darnold last season and to get some of those junk reps late in games where he got a little bit of experience, maybe with more second team guys late in games, but still that would have been beneficial heading into this season. He didn't get that. Now he's getting slaughtered every time he takes a snap, which is even worse. Josh Rosen is a name that I've thrown out here, but that was one of the problems with Josh Rosen, is when he was on the field, there was no protection, and he played at a UCLA. He played for a UCLA team that had a really good offensive line. That entire line was in the NFL for at least one season as a starter at some point. So he had good protection in college. As soon as that protection broke down in the NFL, he couldn't do anything about it. And it ruined him.
Right.
I think this is a similar situation with McCarthy, where not only did he not see a lot of pressure at Michigan, he didn't drop back very often at Michigan. There was a lot. This was a Blake Corum offense. So you bring him to the NFL and expect him to run an NFL offense now? That's going to take some time.
You're absolutely right. And I don't necessarily go to Josh Rosen, although you do have a valid point. I look at Bryce Young. Like, we saw this Bryce Young's rookie year where it was an absolute disaster. Like, just unmitigated. And part of that was coaching. And I don't think we have necessarily that situation, but just that same sort of, oh God, this is so foreign compared to what I'm used to from college and how I've come up, that I don't know how to deal with this yet, which is valid for these guys. Like, these are kids, young kids, is even so much as that, like, okay, they are professionals. And what's more, to your point about this being McCarthy's effective rookie year, we hear about how when you're injured, especially a catastrophic injury like McCarthy had, where it wasn't okay, I'm trying to make it back every week and can't. There was no shot of him playing at any point. You're separate from the team for most of the week, the prep, everything like that. You are solely focused on rehabbing in the trainer's room, getting right that way. You're not part of game planning. You're not part of walkthroughs. Like, you're there on game day to help support, but it's such a different mindset and prep that there's simply no way, especially for a rookie, to have a real rookie year when you lose it for a full year like that.
Yeah, and you don't learn. You're not sitting in, you're saying, you're not sitting in team meetings. You're not learning schemes. You're not on the field watching the walkthroughs even. You're in a training room. You get out on the field on Sunday. You're on the sideline. You're in street clothes. You're not holding a clipboard. McCarthy wasn't holding a clipboard. He had no involvement in anything. He didn't have a headset, nothing. He was just there to watch. So maybe next season there's hope for McCarthy. But for the rest of this season, I mean, obviously you're not rostering him in fantasy. I don't think anybody's rostering him at this point. You're certainly not starting him. You're certainly not starting him. We're 2 weeks away from the fantasy playoffs. So get him off your roster, folks.
Right.
And you know what? We're going to get off of the air, guys. We're going to let you get there and set those lineups. Thanks for tuning in this morning. We'll be back next week. What?
Yeah, real quick. Why don't we run down what our next week is going to look? Nothing. I just want to make sure that next week's the holiday week, that they know that we're not getting out of here without making sure that they're taken care of next week.
Oh no, I was going to get there. Don't you worry.
I-
When I say get
I'm
out of
not
here,
worried
you know
about
we
you.
still got we got 3 or 4 minutes left. I got lots to say here. Next week, as Lou is alluding to, it's Thanksgiving, and we wish you all a happy Thanksgiving week. Lou and I will be back tonight with the Express to roll through the games. Then we'll be back on Monday with the Waiver Wire show. No Optimus Fantasy show this week. Casey and I are taking Thursday off, and we are also taking Friday off from the Vibes show, but we will have our DFS show, and we'll be back next Sunday for Start Sit. And that's going to do it for our week next week. Yep, but we'll be here, and we have written content coming out all week. Higher and Lower is going to drop on Wednesday instead of Friday this week to get you ready for those Thursday games. So make sure you're checking out OptimusFantasy.com every single day. We're going to help you get to the playoffs, folks. We promise. And part of that is heading over to our Discord channel as well. Check out the link in the show description. It is heating up over there as we get closer and closer to the fantasy and NFL playoffs. We're talking football 24 hours a day, 7 days a week over there. Got questions about anything NFL related, hop over to our Discord server. Again, the link is in the show description. And while you're at it, head over to tools.optimusfantasy.com. Check that out with the promo code ThanksOptimus. Get 2 weeks to check out all the cool stuff we've got going on over there, Lou. I'm looking forward to this Sunday. Folks, get out there, go win those matchups. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel if you're not already. We'll be back next Sunday to help you with the Start Sit. But before then, make sure you tune in tonight for The Express with Lou Brunson and Nate Polvogt. We're going to walk you through everything that happened today. Until then, for Lou Brunson, I'm Nate Polvogt, guys. Have a great Sunday. We'll see you tonight.